Did you know 1 in 5 kids relies on their school's free and reduced price meal program to provide the nourishment that they need to learn and grow? But what happens when the kids leave school on Friday? Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson. Today we're talking with Brennan and Eileen Thompson about blessings in a backpack. I can't wait to tell you about this blessing. This program mobilizes communities, individuals, and resources to provide food on the weekends for school-aged children across America who might otherwise go hungry. Dana and Eileen, we are delighted to have you on the show today.
Thanks so much.
For having
We're
us.
glad to be here.
Good, good. So tell me how each of you got connected to blessings in a backpack.
So I originally learned about Blessings in a Backpack through a community organization called the Optimist Club, the Huron Valley Optimist Club. So that club oversees this initiative within our community.
Okay.
So it was about this time last year that I joined the Optimist Club, and my sole focus, their sole focus is on promoting youth in our community. So any type of youth project to get kids excited, and Blessings is one of those initiatives. So that was where I landed.
So it kind of found you, it sounds like.
It did.
Oh, excellent. Eileen, what's your story?
So I'm new to Blessings.
Okay.
I started in November. I ran across a post on Facebook, and someone had mentioned Blessings in a Backpack, and I was looking to get involved in the community, and then I saw the statistics of the students in our district that could go hungry on the weekends, and I was like, as a mom, I was like, well, that's it. I found my calling. Here I am. Here I am at Blessings.
Oh,
So,
wow.
that
So
was me.
technically, what is Blessings in a Backpack? What's the program?
So Blessings in a Backpack is a national organization. They started in 2005, and it was all based around supporting students who were coming to school hungry on Monday mornings and needed just that little bit of extra support. So our program is specific to the Huron Valley community, and we handle the 8 elementary schools in our district that are across 4 different cities. And those students will receive a pack of food every Friday afternoon to take home on the weekend or for extended breaks to make sure that they have that little bit of extra support that they might not otherwise have access to.
And how, you mentioned in being in the community and hearing that there was this need. How big is the need? Like food security or food insecurity, as we call it. Like, how prevalent is that in Michigan?
Well, in our school district, 3,000 kids qualify for food assistance in our district, so the need is pretty extensive. So, is it 40%?
It's about 40%
Yeah.
of our student population.
Wow, wow, in just one community in the state of Michigan. But you mentioned
One
this is like a
small,
national program,
Yeah.
so I imagine that the need is just so much bigger. I mean, you giving that small
Massive.
glimpse, like just us at home, this is what
Yes.
it means to us.
Yes.
Wow. Were you surprised when you heard these statistics, or did you kind of feel like, I knew there was an issue, but as you've gotten more into the organization, how has your understanding of this problem grown?
I was absolutely blown away. I was actually mentoring a middle school student last year, so that's kind of how I had learned more about Blessings and just the need for some additional food support on the weekends. And it happened because I was there on Friday afternoons mentoring this student in a student service office, and student after student kept coming in asking for snacks, or do you have something that I can take home for the weekend because I'm still hungry? And I stopped that afternoon and said, what is going on? How do we help these kids? And that's truly how I learned that the program exists, and it's been in existence in Huron Valley for the past 10 years. There just wasn't enough information about it. There just wasn't enough public community awareness.
Wow, and being involved again, like you said, in the school and just seeing firsthand and saying, again, this problem found me.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
How about you, Eileen? Your reaction to hearing some of this and learning about the scope of it.
Right. So when I was looking on Facebook and I saw all this stuff, I was just like, what is going on? As a mom, you cannot sit back idly and let your kids' classmates go hungry. So I think the push is there because you realize, like, these are people that my kid sits next to every day at school. And these are kids that could go hungry, so you want to help. So the need is there. So it's, when you hear about it from a mom level, you are drawn to the cause because no one can turn that down.
And I was looking at the website. You mentioned this one community and then larger. And in Michigan, there are just pages and pages of schools. So it sounds like they're working. Again, the idea was to work through the school to provide a way to give students what they need for the weekend. But I was just shocked by the numbers of cities and the locations.
Absolutely.
How do you have a sense in Michigan, and I'm not going to put you on the spot for how many because people can check that on the website, but I mean from communities from right around here, in the Livonia area, all the way up. Are you familiar, with any of those organizations, and just do you guys collaborate at all with them, or how does that work?
So there's not a tremendous amount of collaboration. We've chatted with a couple of programs right around us, like our neighbors. In the same scenario, the need is just staggering, and it's something that people don't talk about publicly. So I think that's one of the main reasons that it just hasn't gotten enough attention.
And how if you can explain just kind of how it works, like if the students qualify for free and reduced lunch, is there like no questions asked, or how does that work for the kids? And I imagine we'll talk in maybe the next segment about stigma around food insecurity too, but how does that work for them?
That's exactly the benchmark. So free and reduced lunch is the starting point, and those students, assuming they are willing to accept the support, or the families are willing to accept the support, then they would have access to that. And then there's another population of students that are probably right on the cusp. And that boils down to our principals really knowing their student population and being able to say, actually, we've got this group of individuals that also need a little bit of extra support. So we do what we can from a budgeting standpoint and planning year over year to make sure that we can support as many students as we can.
And it's up to the school district to decide which students qualify. So Blessings does not decide
Get
that.
involved in that. Okay. Well, we're already to a break. We're going to take a real quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about Blessings in a Backpack, and maybe we'll talk about how you can get involved. Stay tuned.
Madonna University's Broadcast and Cinema Arts program is preparing me for the future.
I'm learning from industry professionals, making connections, and honing my skills from hands-on experience every day.
The professors are dedicated to my success, instilling professionalism, creative thinking, and a strong work ethic.
Join Madonna University's Broadcast and Cinema Arts program. Earn your Bachelor's of Arts and take that first step towards your dreams.
Welcome home, man.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and today we're talking with Dana Brennan and Eileen Thompson about blessings in a backpack. So you told us about our students who have need for food on the weekend, and they're going to get a little goodie bag that they get to take home with them. Yep. What's in the bag, you know, and how do you get all those items for the bags?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of different options. So there's a lot of enthusiasm around packing.
Okay.
Because that's just a fun experience, right? And everyone wants to feel involved in making a difference. So packings aren't something that we are doing a lot of right now, simply because it's maybe not the most cost effective and not always the most time efficient.
And space.
Yeah,
Space is a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When we're trying to feed the volume of students that we are, having enough space to support them with all the variety of foods that we provide is a big deal. So there's a National Food Service program that we partner with by way of Blessings in a Backpack National, and they provide packages of food that are sent directly to the schools based on the quantities and numbers that we need. So it's a little pre-packed, very discreet package that will go into the students' backpacks. It's not a separate backpack because there's a little stigma around that.
Yes.
So we do everything that we can to, preserve, their dignity and respect at the same time that we're doing it.
And with enough weight capacity that a kindergarten student can take it home.
Right.
Like you can't send something home that's really heavy because their poor little bodies cannot carry that home. So it is.
So it's got to be the right kind, right size for them.
Shelf stable.
Shelf stable, so it's something that they can have for a long time.
Yeah. Anything that's accessible, again, for when we're thinking about a kindergartner through a fifth grader, something that they can open on their own, that they don't necessarily need a parent to prepare for them or to warm up for them. So focus on high protein, healthy, high fiber. We follow the same school nutrition standards across the board, so we have consistency there, but just simplicity for them.
And it sounds like there's been guidelines that are set, again, from the national organization, and they really kind of helped you, like, in your community, you identified there was a need, you got connected, and then it's mobilizing and making sure that you get enough people to kind of get that going.
Exactly.
We talked about a bit in the first segment about food insecurity and just the prevalence of the problem, but talking about the impact of hunger on children. What have you heard? What have you read? What kind of information do you have and do you share with people about the topic?
Yeah. So what we've experienced in the classroom is that not just our students that are suffering with food insecurity are benefiting from this, but their classmates are also benefiting. How do you feel when you think about going home Friday afternoon and coming back to school on Monday morning? There's 60 hours. 60 hours that you're not sure that, number one, you'll have access to food or that there even is food available to you. So you think about coming back to school on Monday morning and your tummy's grumbling and you might have a headache and you might feel a little sick to your stomach because your stomach is so empty. The last thing that you're going to do is want to focus on your work, want to, have proper behavior in the classroom. You're probably going to be a little distracted, especially when you're, 6, 7, 8 years old. So the focus is really on how this benefits an entire classroom and allows the teacher to focus on what the teacher is there to do and what they're great at.
That is a great point. To think about, again, it's the student, but then the ripple effect that it has on the entire classroom and their ability probably to be social with other students. And we were talking during the break, just about retaining material and learning. Like if your brain is hungry, it is trying to get its needs met. It's not listening to the math lesson, I imagine, in the classroom.
Exactly. So we see, just overall student success rise with the use and the access to the program. So that's a wonderful thing too.
And you mentioned being discreet. How important is that? And when you're thinking about a program like this, and students when they're that age, and is there a stigma around this? And have you ever experienced that? And what do you try to do to ameliorate that if you can?
There's always going to be a stigma around things because as a community ourselves, we don't talk about this. We don't talk about how our neighbors are hungry and how they're impacted by things. So from our perspective, if we give the students the most dignified way of dropping this off, like it's so discreet. Like they'll drop off to the classroom outside their door, the teachers will put it in their backpack and nobody knows. The whole weekend they'll go by and they'll have food and nobody will know and they'll feel just like their peers. And that's so important when they're molding themselves to be an active member of their classroom.
And it's important throughout, right? Because we know that when they're building those skills, when they're and learning as K-12 or K-6 or what have you, you know, then they come to college and, you know, it's the same where, you know, and one thing that we talk about on our campus is that food insecurity sometimes it doesn't go away. And so colleges also have,
it's an extension.
you know, conversations about food pantries and donations. And, you know, when you've got students living on a campus and then things close down for breaks, what is there for them? So at the college level, there's also need and outreach for that too. So so it's interesting how, again, we need to serve our students at all levels because it's an awful lot of time, like we were saying, to invest in your brain and not retain the information.
Absolutely.
But I had not thought about that idea about the classroom behavior and just students, you know, trying to get their needs met and acting out. I mean, makes sense, right? Because we get hangry.
Absolutely.
When we don't eat something, you know what I mean? Like
That's
it makes
exactly.
sense. But
Yes.
yeah,
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
If your basic needs aren't met, then you're not functioning at your best self.
Well, we have another break. We'll be right back, and I promise you we're going to get to talk about how you can get involved in Blessings in a Backpack. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in! Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ache than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
Maria, so how's work?
It was fourth period biology. Our students just weren't getting how easily viruses spread. So Miss Bell and I had them role play a zombie virus outbreak. By the time they had all learned the lesson, all the living were dead. Hey, how's your job going?
That big sales meeting I planned? Next year. I might get to go.
Cool.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and today we're talking with Dana Brennan and Eileen Thompson about Blessings in a Backpack. I know people want to know how they can get involved. So they're watching and they're excited about it now. They're going to check out your places, your websites and all that stuff in a minute. But what can they do to support you in your efforts?
So we are a solely volunteer-run organization. So there are many, many opportunities to get involved, whether you want to spend your time or your financial resources. The best place to find us is on our Facebook page. We post anything and everything that we're doing there, the most up-to-date information. So that's probably the best resource to start.
Okay. And what can they do? Like you said, they can donate. Do you have like events to, like you said, packing? Like, can I just come and help you for an hour pack?
So we don't have any packing scheduled right now.
Right now, okay.
Nope. But those will be posted as we have them available and scheduled. We'll post them to our Facebook page, and we do a big call to action for people to come out and join us. And we try to make it as fun of an event as possible because there's just a lot of community and a chance to connect over a common cause that makes us all feel really good supporting our students.
Awesome. And I understand you have an annual comedy event, so
We
make
do.
me laugh.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's not ran by me.
Okay, okay.
We will have a professional
No
comedian.
stand-up or, you know?
No, that's not in my forte. We have our 10th annual comedy show that is happening this April, in which we have a big night. It's going to be fun. It's going to have live silent auctions, a live auction where you get to hold up the paddle and bid, and then we'll have the two comedians. I think there's two comedians this year. And a dinner. And it's just a good time. We're looking so much forward to it, and we're excited. All hands on deck right now, getting ready for our big comedy show. So,
Well, those kind of things are fun too because, again, you're with people who have a common mutual love for an organization, you know, and so you're having a good time, spending a little money, and also just being with like-minded people who care about a common cause. So that sounds awesome.
Yes.
Okay, so you've got that. And where can people find you? Like, I know you mentioned Facebook, so it's just Blessings in a Backpack? Or
So it's Blessings in a Backpack - Huron Valley.
Okay, because there's more than one.
Exactly.
Okay.
They're all over the state, all over the country. So Blessings in a Backpack - Huron Valley is the probably most up-to-date resource.
Okay.
And then, like I mentioned earlier, the Blessings program is run by the Huron Valley Optimist Club.
Okay.
So the Huron Valley Optimist Club you can find online as well.
Okay, awesome. And then I know it's a national, so if you wanted to do something nationally, it's blessingsinabbackpack.com?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So we've got that, I can donate, I might be able to help, I can come to a comedy event.
Yes, we'd love to have you.
So let me ask you, what do you see as the future? You know, you both have mentioned the organization's been in existence for 10 years and you've been involved for over a year now, you know, in some cases. And so what do you see for the future of your little corner of this organization?
So we've assembled an incredible volunteer group.
Oh, good.
So we meet on a monthly basis. We are very structured and organized. We're very goal focused, and that's one of the key variables that I think has really helped us turn a corner and see some really great progress over the last couple of months. We've had an incredible outpouring of support from the community, both from a financial standpoint and just from people that are willing to spend their time with us and supporting our students. So that's been a great experience to see, and we'll just continue doing that.
Yeah, growth-wise is to encompass all of the grades in our school district instead of just the elementary schools.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That would be a great.
It would be amazing.
Yes, yes. So thinking about this organization, there's like the meetings, you know, you just mentioned that you have, the fellowship with people in your own community, and then you're addressing a larger need in the community. What has being involved with this meant to each of you? How has this affected your life? You're very excited about it, talking here.
I don't know that I can even put into words. I feel like over the last 5 months, there hasn't been a week that's gone by that I'm not on the verge of tears over it. It's been a really, really awe-inspiring experience.
What brings you to that? What is it been? Not that I'm trying to make you cry. I swear I'm not. But what has brought that motion forward for you?
Seeing people come forward and willing to spend their time. Time is the most valuable commodity that we all have. And we all have busy lives and work responsibilities and families of our own. And to think that people are willing to share their skill set to benefit people that they don't know, while yes, neighbors in their community.
Yep, neighbors helping neighbors.
It's really been just remarkable to see it all come together.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Eileen, what do you think? Well, how has being involved with this organization changed you or affected your life?
There's so much that goes on outside of your bubble in life that is out of your control. And so being in Blessings and helping as much as I can to help promote it and get across our message to help the kids is what gives you purpose. It gives you like a drive. Like, yes, being a mom is like the best thing ever, but helping other people's kids is right up there. So it gives you happiness. It brings it just spreads joy.
Oh, well, I can feel the joy coming from both of you and the enthusiasm that you have. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for serving this part of your community, because a lot of times people think like, I have to go do some big, giant act somewhere else, but you're like, no, there's need right here. And it sounds like you guys have really discovered that, and just thank you for meeting that need and continuing to inspire others to do so.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, and thank you for watching us here on Celebrate Michigan and learning about Blessings in a Backpack. Check them out. We love celebrating all the great things happening here in the Mitten State, and we'll see you next time.